Okay, today we're going to talk about the TIHK PicoPick. This is how it came. It came in a bubble wrap kind of envelope to my mail, and it came in a little plastic bag with this little white card with their logo and a disclaimer saying that you should obey all your local, state, etc. laws. And then the last thing it says there, let's see if we can get this to focus. Don't be stupid. Learn more at www.tihk.co. Alright, so what's in the package? Not a lot. They were kind enough to throw in a couple of their Tiny Inconspicuous Handcuff Keys. I've been carrying a couple of these. I mean, they're just something that's kind of in my kit. There's one hanging over there on my backpack on some of the webbing, and these are, you should, if you've got a reason to carry a handcuff key, if you're traveling or, at risk of being home invaded or that, kidnapped and etc., it's not a bad thing to own a handcuff key and maybe have it concealed somewhere on your person where you can get to it. These are very cool, and this is what made them famous, and what their company is basically built on is their Tiny Inconspicuous Handcuff Key. They threw in 2 of those into the packaging. Alright, some of the marketing claims that they make about this device. I was looking through some of the emails they've sent me and looking at some of the versions of the web page that this was about since the pre-order began. I pre-ordered this back in I suppose April, maybe March, and it arrived here just the other day. And we're, toward the end of September now. So it took a while for them to get that all sorted out, get their parts together, and get these built and shipped. And that's just fine. That's sometimes how pre-order stuff is. What this device is all about, pull this out of here. Here is a tension tool so that you can tension the core of a lock, and then this splits apart, and there are 2 styles of lockpick. One of them they call a W rake, and the other one is a half diamond. Now, so I think one of the claims that they made in some of the emails I've gotten from them perhaps, I think they said perhaps the smallest lockpick set ever made. And then currently, as of today on their website, they say things like, let's see, I've got it up over here. The smallest lockpick set on the market. The Pico Pick is just over 2 inches long, under ½ an inch wide, and 1/4 inch thick. Don't let the unassuming size fool you. It has everything you need to pick most tumbler locks in an emergency situation. In addition to a W rake and a half diamond, the Pico Pick set includes a removable tensioner, all stainless steel. That's what their website says today about it. It has said slightly different things over the last several months, but they're all about the same. It says that it's tiny and that it is a lockpick set. So let's address their marketing claims, and let's start with the fact that it is tiny, that it is the smallest lockpick set on the market. It is tiny. Well, that I suppose is subjective, but the smallest lockpick set that I knew of previously to this, the lightest, narrowest, shortest, there are a lot of these kind of jackknife lockpick sets on the market. They're of different quality, of course. There are some Chinese ones that I think are not much more than novelties, and then there's one from Multi-Pick. They make really nice gear. And then there's this RCS Tool Company Lockpick Tools set. In comparison, See if I can get a good grip on that and show them both on camera. In comparison, yeah, this is less than a third the size of that. So, you know, they say it's less than 2 inches long. It is about 2 inches long. They say it's, you know, about 1/4 inch thick. It seems to be about 1/4 inch thick. They say it's a little under 1/2 inch wide. It seems to be a little under 1/2 inch wide. It's actually about 1/3 inch wide. As to weight, let's get out the scale here. We are set to ounces. Let's change all the way to, whoops, grams. The TIHK PicoPick weighs 4 grams, pretty much even. Bounces back and forth to 4.1, but I do have it on kind of some soft material. So slightly over 4 grams. The other one I showed you is 18.5 grams. So 4, 8, 12, 16, it's less than 1/4 of the weight. So it's less than 1/3 of the size and less than 1/4 of the weight of the smallest set that I knew of previously. Although I will offer the you know, a caveat there that you might consider a pair of Wiz Wazzles to be a kit. And in fact, I think that's reasonable. I think that a pair of Wiz Wazzles are, you know, they're just basically a couple of Bogotas and they're bent over. So whichever one you're not using is the tension tool you're going to use, and that's pretty small. I don't have a set of those. I'd like to get one sometime, but I don't have that, so I can't show it to you. So perhaps there's one smaller than this. There are a bunch of videos on YouTube about the Wiz Wazzles, and you can check those out. The search box will help you out with that. They're pretty darn small, but I bet this is smaller. Okay, so the other claim to investigate, is it tiny? Yep, I think we've established that we can call that tiny, that it's very likely to be the smallest device of this nature on the market. The other claim that they make is that it is a lockpick set. Well, let's investigate that. Is this a lockpick set? Can you pick a lock with this? Not one that I've found. I've only got a few here in front of us, and we're going to go over this a little bit. I have not found a lock that this is a useful tool for picking. There are a couple of issues to go over, and let's start with the tension tool. Alright, so since I directly compared this to this, let's have a look at the tension tools. You'll see that the one from the Pico Pick is quite a lot wider and somewhat, you know, thicker than the one from the RCS tool. The RCS tool is also longer and etc., but the useful end of these, you'll see how broad this is in comparison to this. So let's get a couple of examples going here right now. This is a standard American lock. You see these all over the place. These are excellent locks. They've got some security pins in them, and you know, these are high quality locks for the most part. Yeah, that tension tool, it doesn't go in there. Alright, well, I kind of, nope, you'll never be able to put tension on this core with this. Okay, so I was thinking, alright, so Master Lock. This is a Master Lock 5. One of the easiest in general. I mean, every now and then one of them will have some crazy bitting and they're a little more difficult. But in general, this might be the, you know, if you're going to start out picking locks, this will teach you an awful lot about breaking and picking locks, because it's generally pretty darn simple. These are not known to be, pick resistant. Let's see here. Oops, that's pin side up. Let's go to the bottom of the keyway. Huh. Well, I can almost kind of get a bite on that. Well, then it just is going to bite into the bottom of this. See, it's too thick to get into that keyway. Should slide in there, Here, let's set that down. And you should be able to insert that into the keyway to get some tension on the core. Well, what do we got going on here? It doesn't insert into the keyway. You can get just a little bite on it. Alright, so we have just a little bite, and that's perhaps the first time I've been able to do that. So let's demonstrate this. They call this a W rake, even though it does have kind of a snake rake profile, the way the tip of this rake is rounded off here. But we extend the rake. We're supposed to close this up. Now I got an email from them saying, hey, here's a tip to operate this device. You're supposed to grab this at the pivot and squeeze like hell, basically, to keep it from... Let's get this... Oh, what's going on there? What's going on there? Alright, so let's squeeze like hell. Try to insert this into this keyway. Okay, we're in. There goes the too thick and yeah, no, this isn't a lock pick. There's nothing keeping it from just folding over. You can't keep it from pivoting. So when you insert it into a keyway and put a little pressure against the pins, and I mean a little pressure, I've got the whole keyway to work with here because I don't have the just inserting it into the keyway. Alright, so what's gone wrong here? Why is this happening? Alright, let's look on the inside here. And I'm going to tell you something now, and I'm going to roll it in. They may, complain at me, we'll see, for using their material, but I think it's fair use. I'm going to take a 10 or 15 second clip and roll it in right here from an animated GIF that they sent me recently about this device. In their animated GIF, the rake is flipped over. So when you open it like this, let's see if we can get it to focus up close. See, it butts up against right there. It butts up against that. When it's sitting, when you're using the useful side of the rake, there's nothing here to keep it from folding back on you. So they've installed these upside down, at least compared to their whatever model or whatever version that they made their animated GIF with. There's nothing here to keep your pick from. Let's pull the other one out. Let's make sure that we're telling the truth here. Alright, and on this side, same thing. See, it stops up against that little bit of plastic. Stops up against that. So you could put at least a little bit of pressure on that without it folding over. But see, the diamond's facing down, it's facing the opposite way. So the useful part of the diamond, if you're going to pick against something, there's nothing keeping it. Now, on the other side, it almost looks like there's something that should keep it. There's a little ledge there. But when this is closed, even squeezing it together, here's what happens. Here, We're going to turn my fingers about white. We're going to squeeze just the heck out of this. See if we can get it to focus. There we go. Put just a little bit of pressure on it and it pries these two pieces apart. So these are installed upside down. The picks are upside down. There's no way to get any leverage on any kind of a lock. We'll go back to the tension tool. I've got some other examples of keyways. This is a Sledge Keyway. Same thing. You can't get in there. It doesn't insert into the keyway. Well, there we go, but actually that's a great picture. You see that you have absolutely no room left to work a lockpick. If you do get it in there, it's at a weird angle and it's so wide, there's no room for a lockpick in there to work those pins. That's the best picture I've ever seen of this sort of thing. I'm really happy to have captured it. But you can see the top pin up here and the distance between this really wide tension tool and that pin, and there's nowhere to work it. Here is a Master Lock 3. I had a new Master Lock 3 at home. I was completely unable to insert this, but this is a well-worn one that was in service for a very long time, and you can it almost inserts in there. You could just about get a bite on it, and you can just about do it. And see, now that keyway has a little bit of room to work, but let's insert the pick. There isn't enough room, at least with the diamond, to get under that first pin. See if we can. It hits that pin. You might be able to work it. Oh, I did. I got it to work up. But then this just comes unglued. You can't do anything with it. It just folds. It just folds backwards. So they've inserted their picks, at least in the one that I got. Maybe they're not all like this. Maybe, you know, this was a manufacturing problem. But as this came, this is not a lockpick. Now let's continue with another problem I see here. I really didn't expect to be doing a video quite like this. I thought I'd find a lock I could pick with these. I really did. I thought I'd find at least something that I could pick with a half diamond and a snake rake, or they're calling it a W rake, but it's really close to a snake profile, looks like to me. You know, but in any case, that's neither here nor there. What they've chosen to call their pick is just fine. That doesn't matter. I did find a really well-worn quick set in my stuff that I got this into, but I ran into that same problem that, you know, you can't work the pick. And then let's go a little bit further, and that's why I have this out here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pins. So, oops, wrong end of this. So this keyway, to insert a lockpick into this keyway, to get to the 6th pin, you're in, there it is, about the center of that pin would be right there. So you're in, you know, you don't have room enough to get to the last pin and put your finger underneath this. See, and we're gonna talk about that next, how people actually operate lockpicks. So generally, just about everybody I've ever seen work a pick, including myself, put their finger under the shank of the pick. That gets us into pin 4 at best. At best. 4-pin lock, let's see, that'll maybe get you in deep enough to do a master lock, a master lock 5. You might be able to get in deep enough if you've got a tension tool that isn't completely in the way and isn't, you know, gonna fold up, you know, the darn things. I didn't even have the tension tool in there. I barely, yeah, there's nothing stopping this. I don't care how hard you pinch this together. There's nothing stopping this from folding back. So there we go. We won't belabor that point anymore. So yeah, let's pause the video here, and I'm going to show you how, you know, a regular lock pick would work, how you'd hold it and such. You know, this is that tension tool out of this jackknife kit, this RCS jackknife lockpick set, and then, you know, this tension tool fits this master lock quite nicely. Fits that Sledge okay, fits the American, it fits them all just fine. But here's the relatively identical sort of profile. They aren't identical, but they're awful close. The Pico Pick one really is snubbed off a little more like a snake than a W rake, but here's a W rake that's, you know, those peaks just about match up. So let's actually pick a lock with something that can do it, and this is long enough I can put my finger under that, and even if I had a really deep lock, a 7-pinner, you know, this is solid lockup. You know, these aren't going anywhere. So I just, you know, since I'm comparing it, there we go, it's open. So that's what we have here. I'm going to say that if this is how they shipped them all, if they're all in there backwards as to the way their animated GIF showed them, they ought to be ashamed. You know, this is not something they ought to be proud of. If in fact some of these shipped with the picks in there the other way, I'd sure like to try one. You know, I'd like to try one and see if I could actually pick a lock with it, but honestly, yeah, it sure is tiny. You can hook it to your keys and forget you've got it, just like they say, but can you pick a lock like this? I can't. I don't see how this is a useful tool to pick a lock. Returning to this idea of length particularly, you know, oops, I was out of the camera. Hey, this is, you got enough room on a regular, this is a regular Sparrows snake rake just out of my Sparrows kit of, you know, you can get all the way to the back of this lock and still have somewhere to get a little pressure under your finger and work it. The pick's too short to do that, so even with the, you know, there's no way to overcome the folding back. It doesn't matter how hard you squeeze at this pivot, there's just no way to overcome this tendency to, I don't care how hard you squeeze this pivot. You could squeeze that all day. It's a rivet, so this isn't even user serviceable. That's a rivet of some sort. Yeah, I don't care how hard you squeeze that. That's you're not going to overcome this tendency to fold up. You know, here, watch my thumbnail turn just white from crushing this, and I'm putting hardly any pressure on it at all. You aren't keeping that together. So there we go. This, unless they fix that, and unless they flip these over and flip these picks over to the way they've got them in their animated GIF in their little video, unless these are flipped over so that they're so that in button up against this, the useful part of the pick is facing up. Unless they do that, I can't see. I wouldn't suggest buying this. I mean, it is nice they threw in 2 of their little handcuff keys, and these are very cool. This was a brilliant idea. These are wonderful. Yeah, no, I can't recommend this. I can't find a way to pick a lock with it. I've had it for several days now. I've tried Sledge, American, Master Locks. There are zillions of these US cans. I don't know how I don't know if this is supposed to be US can. I don't know what this is. You know, these are some sort of a other kind of lock clone. You know, that real cheap. I couldn't figure out a way to get the. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. So there we go. No recommendation from me on this, and I'm not kidding when I say they ought to be ashamed of this. This is, you know, I'd like to try one if they flip these picks over the way their video shows that their copy of this is. I'd like to try one and see if I could actually pick a lock with it. Maybe I'd change my mind, but gee whiz, they get $30 for this now, and it was 24 and some change or something on the pre-order. But no, you know, $30 for no, thank you. This was the only use this was to me was to make a video, I guess, and I never really intended to. So there we go. That's what I've got to say about that. That's all we're going to talk about today. I really appreciate your time watching this. You guys are real kind to me with the nice things you say down in the comments, and I appreciate those thumbs up down there on the bottom right hand side, and I thank you very much. I hope the rest of your day goes really, really well. Bye bye now.